Better run when you hear that. I said,
Run when you hear that. Better run when you hear that. I said,
run when you hear.
OH.Report World Headquarters in beautiful downtown Mansfield, Ohio for Season 3, Episode 7 of the OH.Report video podcast. I'm Brian Skoronsky. This improperly dressed gentleman to my left is Travis Berardi. And we were just talking actually off air, since it is Episode 7, we were wondering who each other's favorite number 7s are in the history of sports. And I think yours is kind of match your tea, huh?
Yeah, well, after what you said,
I
should say number 7, John Elway, for how he crushed the souls of Browns fans in the late 80s, early 90s. But no, it's got to be Big Ben. He gave us Steeler fans, me growing up, 2 Super Bowls and another Super Bowl appearance. And now we see with Kenny Pickett, who can't throw the ball into the middle of the field. He never does. We wish we still had Ben out there. But, yeah, number 7, Ben Roethlisberger. Who is yours? Because yours is a really good answer.
Well, I'm going with Michael Vick because when he first
good.
came into the league, first of all, that Nike commercial, the Michael Vick experience, might be the best advertisement for any athletic product that I've ever seen. That was
Bo
awesome.
Nose?
Hey, Bo Nose was really good. It was a little, I mean, I was young. I still do remember those. Matter of fact, I ran for president in 3rd grade or 4th grade of my school, and that was mine, was Bo Nose. I used to put him on my posters for that.
And what about the Be Like Mike?
Be Like Mike's good.
Be Like Mike.
Yeah, of course. Oh, great jingle.
Uh-huh.
Great jingle.
Oh, yeah.
But the Vic experience, that looked like a great time.
I gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Well, we got an awesome show coming up for you guys. You want to hear all about this?
Please do.
It's going to be a Hall of Fame episode because Mr.
Absolutely.
Joe Balogh is in the building. That's right.
Fellow OH reporter. I love saying that, having him on the crew with us. Not just because he's staring right at me, but no, it's awesome having him with us here.
Yeah, it just makes
at
you
the
feel
OH
like
Report.
grand, important.
And also means basketball season's back.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll definitely be breaking down some high school hoops with Mr. Balogh after we talk about some high school volleyball. State champions were crowned a couple of days ago. Travis, you've seen every single match.
Yeah, it was me and Madeline Zazzuto were down in Dayton at Wright State. It was a long day. We were there for about 9 hours, but there was a lot of good, enjoyable volleyball down there. We got a lot of clips and stuff for you here on the OH Report, but it was a fun day.
I did a little bit of work yesterday, checked out the top senior athletes in the NCOSSCA All-Star boys and girls matches, so I'll give you a little bit of insight about what we saw there if you didn't get a chance to watch it live and free yesterday. And then, of course, we have got your Phenoms and your top play winners from last week, week number 12, and we'll roll out your nominees. The first chance to see these for week number 13. Only 4 in each category this week,
final
Travis.
ones,
so
too.
it's narrowed down, and this will be the last of the
It's
last.
the final count. Football season's almost over. We do have the Danville Blue Devils and Dalton Bulldogs facing off on Friday night, the last of our area to go against each other. So football not quite over yet, but most of our teams, it is on to basketball season.
It wasn't a great week 13 for our North Central Ohio team, so let's go ahead and let's break it all down, show you guys what happened this last week in the regional semifinal games, and we'll begin with the big boys, right? We'll do Division 3, Region 10, and see how that played out. The number 1 team in the state kind of looked like it, Trav. Mansfield gave them a fight, but in the end, it is the Irish moving on 41-10, the final score there.
Yeah, Mansfield Senior some mistakes in the second half. It was 13-10 late in the second quarter. Toledo hit a big play to make it 20-10 at the half. You're thinking, hey, TY Tigers are sticking around, but then Toledo Central Catholic just started pushing them around a little bit, and Tigers made some mistakes. Toledo Central Catholic moves on with the 31-point victory, where they'll take on a Columbian squad that's going to be an intriguing match. We saw them against Ontario 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, great offense.
The offense that they have, that's going to be a high-scoring game with two powerhouses going at it. I think those two teams match up well. They have just big athletes on each side of the ball.
Yeah, should be a really fun matchup to see that all go down. I saw Terry Collins Jr. only completed 7 passes for Toledo CC against Mansfield Senior, but that went for $169 and 2 touchdowns. So they got some big playmaking threats. Tigers also turned it over 3 times. Duke Reese, 2 picks, no touchdowns in his final start. So probably a bittersweet ending for him. Amar Davis, though, check out this stat line: 4 catches, 1 yard.
They were keying on him. They knew. I mean, Toledo Central Catholic's got a great coaching staff as well. They knew how to shut down Amar the Star for the Tigers. Like the defense, the secondary tried to play against this. It's just Toledo Central Catholic, kind of like Cleveland Glenville, as you'll see in the next next
level.
clip. They're just, they should be playing back in Division II because they could probably win Division II as well.
Competitive balance. Put them down with the smaller schools, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Playing with the MAC squads because it seems like the MAC still has every team left in the tournament.
Half of them, I think, are still playing.
Yeah.
Let's check out Region 14 of Division 4. And you mentioned Glenville. We'll see what they did to Shelby. Well, they dropped a 50-burger on them. It was never really close, 29-0 at the start of the second quarter. And then Glenville took the second half kickoff back for a touchdown to initiate that running clock. So kudos to the Whippets. 10-win season for them. Their first since 2017. They won their 29th league championship and went over 700 wins. So they're one of the winningest programs in the history of the state. So there's a lot to like about what they did this season. Isaiah Ramsey broke the career scoring mark. The only player in school history actually to go over 3,000. I thought with some of the receivers that they've had the last few years that maybe one of those guys would have done it. But no, he's the first. Yeah,
and he had a big touchdown at the end of the game. I said two teams would need to get into shootouts in order to have a chance. Northmor and Shelby, they just weren't able to get things going offensively in that one. And, still regional semifinal appearance in a 16-team playoff format. It's nothing to hang your heads on. You played in the Sweet 16. That's something not a lot of people in the state of Ohio can say.
In the Tar Blooders, since they lost to Hoban in Week 8, that wasn't that long ago, just 5 weeks ago, they've outscored their opponents 231-28.
Yeah, what was their other loss? IMG Academy in Florida. They went down there and played them. They could probably play like a Division II college schedule and compete with them because they have D1 athletes up and down that roster. And
well, we'll see how they do against the top seed Perkins. I think that Glenville is everyone's pick to try to make it into the state championship game and probably win it, Travis. But this is a Perkins squad still undefeated, earned the top seed for a reason. They're big, they're physical. Zach Truax was texting me today and saying, you got to run it right at them if you're Perkins. And he kind of thinks that that's going to be the mantra and the motto. Thinks they might have a decent shot if they do that.
Now, Perkins, they've had some battles the last 2 weeks. They needed to score late to win 2 weeks ago, and West Holmes had this close until Perkins pulled away. They're battle-tested, at least that shows, but can they, get that quick strike ability to keep with Glenville because we know Glenville's going to put points up.
Indeed, they are. So that's what it looks like there in Region 14. We'll flip the script now, and let's go to D6 Region 22, where state number 9 Columbus Grove met with the Carrie Blue Devils, and it was 37-21. Bulldogs outscored the Devils 13-zip down the stretch. It was a close game, but Kyle Lathrop, 5 sacks. It was the most dominant performance I've seen from anybody on defense this season. Totally unblockable at any point in the game. He moved around a little bit.
Like a TJ Watt.
And for Carrie, it's normally a team that's just big and physical, and they can handle you at the point of attack. This was the first time that wasn't the case that I've ever seen. Yeah,
and I know we were talking before this that Carrie had 3 straight 3-and-outs, but just couldn't get anything going offensively. They had it down to 3 points. They were down 21-7 early on. They were able to fight back, make it 24-21, but they just couldn't finish like that state championship team a couple years ago where they could find a way. It was just not enough this year, but once again, another great season for the Carrie Blue Devils, who still have a lot returning. When they won that state championship a couple years ago, they had that 8th grade team saying, hey, this might be a little bit better. They're only sophomores going into their junior season, so we may see Carrie right back here next year.
It's a program that certainly you're expecting now to contend and compete to get to regional championships. So definitely don't think that they are done in terms of their prominence in the postseason. Neither is Bluffton, a 34-0 victory over Ottawa Hills, a team that knocked off Colonel Crawford last week. And it sets up such a fun matchup because the Bulldogs are going to take on a 12-1 team that they had to play in Week 10 for that league championship, and they were able
for the number 1 seed,
to just get it done 14-7. So that's a big rivalry.
This is what nearly cost us getting the 3-4 Crawford-Carey matchup. And if Columbus Grove would have lost, it would have been 2-3, and we would have seen Carey and Crawford on the same side of the bracket, and this might have been completely different. So not only did Columbus Grove get that number 1 seed, but it really shook things up, and just, it helped Bluffton out as well. But we could have seen Carey playing Crawford in that rematch he wanted in this round of the tournament. if not for Columbus Grove throwing a wrench in things.
Well, they are the defending regional champions. The Bulldogs are the real deal. In Region 23 of Division 6, your Golden Knights had to take on state number 2 Garraway and found life pretty tough, Trav. The Pirates have been crushing everybody in the playoffs. I mean, you can't feel bad if you're a Northmor fan. 136-21 is what they've done through 3 weeks.
6 turnovers. That is not going to win against anybody. Northmor interception on the first drive. The second, you'll see in the top play nominees that second interception that happened. But Northmor, they finally started to get something going. I think it was 21 or 28-0, but then they fumbled on the 10-yard line. There was another interception right at the end of the half in the end zone too. Northmor just they couldn't get out of their own way. And like I said, with the Shelby as well, they needed to get into a shootout to have a chance, and it was just too little too late. A couple big injuries as well. Bo Landon went down with a fractured fibula. He's out. He's out for a month, so at least. So for basketball season, he's have to sit out. Paul Kramer, one of their best linebackers, got dinged up as well. Couldn't play most of the game too. So everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for the Golden Knights, and Garraway, the number 2 team in the state, moves on to play West Jeff,
who seems to be getting to the regional championship quite a bit. West Jefferson, obviously, a perennial program, and that's going to be a fun 1-2 matchup right there. So, so we get chalk in each of the last 2 regions that we looked at. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is going to be it's going to be quite the game down in Zanesville for this regional championship, and the winner of this will have a shot if they can avoid Kirtland in the Final Four matchup, but the winner of this will have a chance of making the state championship game, at least if they avoid Kirtland in that Final Four.
Who's a big favorite, of course,
to
win the
always,
whole thing.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Division 7 now. In Region 25, state number 4 Danville remains undefeated as they handle Lowville 41-21. It took the Devils a while to get going. They would pull away late in the second half, and on the bottom half here, or the top half, I should say, St. Paul actually, they were in front at the beginning of this game before Doughton, who had 3 defensive touchdowns. They scored on a 4th down in 4, I want to say, at the end of the third quarter, and then they had back-to-back defensive scores to kind of salt that thing away. But for a number 13 seed, those Flyers, I mean, you got to commend them for just how they played down the stretch in general. 5 straight wins until they ran into Doughton.
What was that non-conference that got them ready? They played who? Ontario? A couple other teams, or was that last year? I don't know. But they played some really good teams in the non-conference to get them ready. They won the Firelands Conference. They bounced back, went on a winning streak, knocked off a couple upsets from teams, and put it to Doughton for at least a half. But you can't turn the ball over against these good teams. Now we get the matchup that we were expecting pretty much all year. Doughton, Danville, we thought maybe Lucas would slip in there, maybe a Hillsdale, but Doughton took care of business there. Lucas took care of business over Hillsdale, and we get the heavyweight battle that we've wanted all year. Doughton, Danville at Dover High School. Love the alliteration right there. Doughton, Danville, Dover. We'll have it for you, hopefully in some sort of way. We don't know officially yet, but I cannot wait to get to Dover on Friday to call that one. Unfinished business for Danville. We know what happened. 4th down, time running out. JFK somehow throws a miracle down the sideline for that touchdown, gets a 2-point conversion. That gets them to the Final Four into the state championship game. Danville, they've used that unfinished business all year. They've run through teams. They've had 2 tough tests. Northmor, which they won with a couple.
Pretty handily.
Yeah, pretty handily, though. They brought everything out of the cupboard. They had a fake punt, onside kick that they perfected, pulled away there, and then in the elements, knocking off East Knox in a big rivalry matchup. Like I said, Danville, Doughton. The winner, I think, of this one, if they avoid Marion Local, which they should, looking at all the teams that are left in the regions, I'm thinking the winner of this one, just like last year, might have a chance. Will have a good chance of winning their Final Four matchup as well.
What an unbelievable matchup this is going to be. Again, chalk number 1 versus number 2, so it seems like the seeding, they got it right with that point system. Joe Idle, shout out. And 2 great running backs. I got a chance to see both of these guys, Cole DeLauder and then Grayson Siders of Doughton, went for 300 yards. He's averaging more than 12 yards per carry on the season.
I do want to know
the season.
How much does Doughton pass? How's their passing attack?
They can do it enough.
Yeah, because Danville can as well. Walker Weckesser, that multi-dimensional quarterback, too. He can run as well, and he can pass it, as we saw. He can throw those big balls down there, and you got to remember the jump pass is still here. The jump pass is still here for Danville. It nearly won them against JFK
like it ever
last
went
year.
away. Come on, it's
Yeah.
here to stay. Speaking of here to stay, I got a feeling, Travis, that we're going to get a dude who we've seen a bunch coming up here. All right?
Speaking of Danville.
Yeah, speaking of them, so we always nominate every single week our top plays and our phenoms, and it's up to you guys to decide who the best of the best was. We will begin with our Friday night phenom from week number 12. So here it comes at ya. The best performance from last week was, that's right, the Coltrane.
You know it.
Choo-choo. Jump aboard over 10 yards per clip, a couple of touchdowns, 175 yards on the ground. He is big. He is a bulldozer. He's a leader now as a senior. This dude is a single-man wrecking crew, and he has helped carry Danville to an undefeated record. This dude is awesome to watch.
Yeah, and you said it right, man. He plays like a man. He's in high school. No, he plays like a man. He is a huge kid. He's bulked up over the summer, and he's ready.
So that's your phenom from week number 10. How about the top play?
It's a good one.
So here comes the top play from week 12, regional quarterfinal action. And how about this? The tip drill looking like Franco Harris out there.
Darn right.
As Northmor snatches it up from the green turf monster. What a grab here by Mr. Goldbach to get our top play of the week.
Yeah, that was a great play. He's known for his defense. Had a sack in that Garraway game, but he can also catch the ball as a tight end. And all Franco Harris go Steelers once again. It's Browns week. It's Browns week. It's a big game now too, since you guys beat the Ravens.
Oh, it's always a big game in our hearts, Travis. But
That's
the even bigger game right now. How about our phenoms from week number 13? I think we got 4 choices for you guys. All of them carrying their teams. Well, I think actually no, only 3 of them taking their teams into the regional championship game. So without further ado, let's meet them. It's time to meet your Friday night phenoms from week 13 of the high school football season, presented by Knox Community Hospital. We're going to get nasty to kick off the countdown as I drag you down into the trenches with Columbus Grove's Kyle Lathrop, who terrorized the Carrie offensive line to the tune of 5 sacks on the night. This dude was completely unstoppable from his defensive end position, creating pressure in the backfield on almost every snap as the Bulldogs move on with a 37-21 victory. Next up is Glenville senior running back Deshaunte Jones, who carried the ball 14 times against Shelby, accumulating 158 yards and 2 touchdowns in a lopsided victory. Jones plays like lightning that just got released from a bottle, striking fear into opposing defenses for the defending state champs, who find themselves yet again making another deep playoff run. It wasn't the ending the Northmor Golden Knights wanted, but wideout Jax Wenger showed why he's one of the best receivers in the area, catching 5 balls for 90 yards and a touchdown against the number 2 team in Division 6. Wenger proved to be unguardable again on the big stage, helping his Knights to the 3rd round of the postseason for the first time in history. Cole DeLauder of Danville blasts his way back into the Phenominees with a 5-pack of touchdowns to go along with 298 yards on the ground. The Coltrane even pulled in a receiving score as well, proving this engine is multi-purpose when rolling down the tracks. Next up, a Week 14 date with Downton. Choo-choo! It's now time to vote for this week's Friday Night Phenom. Comment the number of your favorite performance below to decide who did it best. Hey, But can we do what, Travis? You got a request?
Can we just give you the winner now? Because I have a feeling I know who it's going to be.
Now-
It should be this week, too. Has to be. You know who it is. I'm not going to say it out loud, but you know who it is.
I'm trying to think. I mean, it definitely seems like the Coltrane deserves it this week.
Almost
but
300 yards rushing in a regional semi, absolutely.
how many times has he won already? 5?
Yeah, it's got to be an OH.Report record. We might have to rename it the Cole DeLauder Phenom.
Yeah, but we're gonna get a final tally
Well, hey,
here on Cole.
Maybe
What's he going
Cole
for here?
Cole DeLauder, if you lead your team to a state championship somehow, maybe we will rename it the Toledo Phenom of the Week. How about that?
Okay, so he's already got 4. He's going for a 5-pack, just like the many of touchdowns that he had last week.
I think he has more than any Shelby football player has. Shout out to Storm for that one.
All memories, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now let's check out the top plays of the week from last Friday.
Here come your top plays from Week 13 of the high school football season, brought to you, good folks, by Knox Community Hospital. Our first nominee was a huge answer to a Carrie score, and try not to blink or you'll miss Trenton Barrazzo catching the edge and burning down the sideline before juking out a Blue Devil on his way in for this touchdown. We got to show it to you again one more time as the Columbus Grove Jr. dashes to the perimeter, and he's going to shake loose on a one-play scoring drive to help keep the Dogs alive in the Division 6 playoff chase. Nominee number 2 goes to Shelby senior Isaiah Ramsey, who finds an open pocket behind the secondary and does a grab and go for the 75-yard TD reception. And as we take a look at it one more time, you're going to see Ramsey very sneaky, getting in behind the line, and then he hits Braden DeVito with a little nod here, so he knows that it's on. Then connects with the bomb for the last TD of Ramsey's record-setting career. Why use 2 hands when one will suffice? That's what Garaway D-lineman Jackson Reifenschneider was saying as he picks off A.J. Bauer and trots to the house on an insane pick 6. We got to show it to you again in slow-mo as this big fella busts into the backfield, gets his left hand up, then makes the house call as the Pirates remain undefeated at 13-0. Bust out your calculators for our final top play nominee. Lowville QB Michael Balogh fills the pocket collapse and rolls out, and by out we mean back, and by back we're talking 10 yards. But he finds his security blanket, Santino Rivera Ocasio, across the field, and they connect for a horizontal pass for about 10 yards, and off he goes for a huge, let me check my notes, 18-yard pickup. In the business world, that's a 40-yard gross play, but only netted the Rockets 18, but boy, was this thing impressive to watch. Vote for the best play of the week right now by submitting a comment below.
Yeah, that was a lot of yards for just 18.
Oh, you're still counting? I was
seeing
seeing I saw how you were processing there. All right.
Stare, yeah.
And do make sure, though, that if you get in your vote right now here on the podcast, it does count for 2 votes. Always try to stress that.
1-2.
Yeah, 1-2. Speaking of 1-2, you were at Division 1 and Division 2 and Division 3 and Division 4 state volleyball championships down at Wright State, Travis. I was keeping up with the videos and the posts that you guys were putting out, so I'm pretty well clued in. But for anybody who didn't get a chance to watch, where do you want to begin? Let's break it all down for them, what you saw down in Dayton.
Well, let's start with the Division I state championship. It was a matchup of actually 2 teams that have never made it to the Final Four until this year. And look at the Kings Mills fans. That's at Wright State University. They filled up their end. Wow. They brought it, too, as they sweep Olentangy Orange, a team that has been on the OH.Report, made their first baseball state Final Four. We had a highlight of that earlier in 2023. Now the volleyball team. So an up-and-coming school that's a fairly new school at Olentangy, but it was Kings throughout. They won 25-16, 25-10, then 25-21 because they just fed off the momentum of that student section right behind them.
I was going to say, how could you not be bringing your A game?
Well, they were bringing it too. You see the spikes. Funny story real quick. In the pregame, I had gone up, used my free voucher by Mr. Tim Street in the OHSAA. Shout out to them for giving us some free food. Had a nice cup of Pepsi in there, sitting on my on the table. I'm talking to the chocolate milk guy. You know, they're a sponsor. They give out the milk for a picture at the end with the trophy and everything. I'm talking to him, and all of a sudden, girl from Kings spiked it so hard it bounced off the floor and exploded my Pepsi all over me, a little bit over Mr. Chocolate Milk Guy, who was talking to Doug Uke, the associate commissioner of the OHSAA.
Right.
Doug looks at me and says, "You all right, man?" I said, "I just don't know what just happened." That thing was going about 80 miles an hour. Barely missed my computer, barely missed me, but it hit my Pepsi and just completely
just looking out for your
soaked me
health.
Yeah,
I think she saw
I
there's
guess she
like
is.
60 grams of sugar in there. Pow!
Yeah.
Get that thing out of here, Trav.
Well, I will say that Division I state championship was just high octane, and it was worth the watch. Two great teams, but Kings came out on top.
Well, that's what Kings tend to do.
Absolutely.
Just makes sense.
Yeah. The Queens of Kings win the state championship. See what I did there? I've had better. Let's go
Followed
to
that
the
one.
D2 state championship now. A team that we saw on the OH.Report knock off Norwalk and Lima Shawnee.
That's right.
Gilmer Academy against Mercy McAuley, the orange. I love the color scheme for Mercy McAuley, the Lady Wolves. This one went 5. Madeline loved making this highlight. It was 25-22 Mercy after 1. Gilmer Academy back 25-22 in the second. Mercy won 25-18 in the third. Gilmer, though, right back at you, 25-22 to force a fifth. They then led. Gilmer Academy led Mercy 14-13. Championship point. Mercy scores the next 3.
Ooh.
Extra points in the Division II state championship to decide this, and Mercy McAuley. It was actually Mercy School and McAuley School were two of the biggest volleyball schools, I believe, in Division II or Division III. They combined a couple years ago, and now they're kind of like a powerhouse. This is the first one that they've had together, combined as a combined school for a championship, but that was a fun match to watch.
Yeah, seeing these ladies with my own eyes at Gilmore Academy, I'm actually a little bit surprised because they had like 5 jackrapids out there that could jump about 6 feet up in the air and just crush the ball, as you saw there in the highlights. So obviously their opponent must have been the real deal.
Yeah, they were the real deal. Mercy McAuley, 25-4. Gilmer Academy finishes 28-11. Now let's move on to the Division III state championship, which led us off on Saturday. Lake Catholic versus McNicholas, Archbishop McNicholas. Lake Catholic, a clean sweep, 25-17, 25-22, 25-13. Lake Catholic finishes a perfect 29-0 as the number 1 team in the state, and it was just a dominating performance for them. 21 kills by Katie Soko to lead the way. That was one of the biggest performances out of all 4 divisions. And also Hannah Patty, 40 assists. That led everybody.
40?
40 assists in a match where they scored 75 points. So well over half for the assists there. Just a great showing by Lake Catholic over the number, I believe, 10 team in the state, and Archbishop McNicholas. 29-0. Perfect season for Lake Catholic. The only school
To go
out
undefeated.
of the final 8 to go undefeated there for them. Now let's take a look finally at the D4 state championship and a team we had in our area, the Calvert Lady Seneca's taken on, that team from the MAC, New Bremen, once again knocked off Monroeville last year in 4. Well, they'll knock off Calvert in 4 as well. New Bremen 25-22. This was a tough one for Calvert because they had slow starts early on and had the battle back, and they made all these sets into sets. They were down, I believe, 7 or 8 in that first set, fought back, fell 25-22. They bounced back and won 28-26 in the second set. You think, they're getting some of that momentum back. But once again, slow start. New Bremen takes the third, 25-22, and then they just had all the momentum, taking set 4, 25-16 to finish 25-4 and win the MAC. It's 153rd overall state championship in the 50 years that they've had. Come on, people.
That's over 3 per season.
The best. Yeah, that is. That's the best small school conference in the Midwest, and all I got to say is, hey, you guys are impressive. Why don't you move up a division and give our other small schools a chance at least? Come on. The MAC is just that good.
Well, I think the towns are just that small. So it's actually, I don't even think it's their fault, Travis. They're that good.
Competitive balance via state championships in a year or something. I don't know. But no, if you beat one of those teams in the MAC, you have a squad. And look at football. We just talked about football. Half the teams are still available. I think Joe, Mr. Balogh, was telling me before we came on here, they're like 13-2 in the postseason, and one of those losses was because it was MAC versus MAC. It's just
that's the only way to take them down is one of their own.
Sport, it's all they do because of these small schools. That's what they have is sports. They have a very good youth program for all these sports, and it shows. And once again, you get a state championship. 153. Wow.
That's a gaudy number.
You're
right, bro.
That's phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
You talked about putting together a squad like New Bremen has and all of those volleyball squads had. How about an all-star squad? And how about just the best seniors in the
third year
area?
we've done this, correct?
It is indeed, and
No
yesterday,
snow this year, though.
yeah, we didn't get the snowpack like we had in years past, but we did have some cool celebrations. I loved that these teams and hopefully that they show up here in this highlight. These boys,
what a
they
move.
put a lot of thought. Oh yeah, that dude was unbelievable. That was our MVP, Louis Canis. Oh no, not him. That was Rangel Negrete from Norwalk. But the kid from Worcester was awesome. Our MVP
always
in the
Worcester.
match. Yeah, great foot
Oh,
skills.
nutmeg. Love me
Goodbye.
some nutmeg.
But I just thought this is such a cool event because
Oh, yeah.
it's seniors only. They get together, no practice, just one day. And slowly throughout the duration of the match, you see them, they start combining for these nice builds. This one, yeah,
Beautiful
this
passing.
was a really cool celebration. Let's see if they play this all out. This is what I love, that they can go out there,
they
they
were
can
in the
have some
boat?
fun. They were. Why can't we have this at the high school level? I mean, is that hurting anybody?
Well, we didn't even have it in the NFL level for a while until people just had enough of it, you know?
This is true. Yeah, the No Fun League. So the boys was it was cool. Our MVP actually coming from the losing side. That's how good Luis was. It was 5-2, the dark team. And then over on the girls' side, check out this goal from Nevaeh Lewis. This is with 14 seconds off the clock. What?
Did she even have time to collect herself? That was a pass. It came right back to her, and she just flicked it.
Yeah, it was like back to mama, like she planned it, and then drills it over the top of Sarah Hendricks' head. She was our MVP in the match. She had the first goal and then the last goal as the dark team rolled in the ladies' side of things, too. But just to get all of these girls out there for the final time as high school athletes, I mean like they do for the football game here in the area, I do appreciate the fact that it's all seniors. These girls grew up playing against one another, and then you get the likes of like Madison playing with Lexington and having to pair up. And actually, Nevaeh Lewis talked to me after the match. I was like, who's the strangest person to have to be a teammate of? And she said, without hesitation, Kendall Windsor. My whole career, it's been us compared to each other. We're the fast girls up top for opposing teams in the county, and now I got to be on her team. Oh, here's Kendall right here making a charge. She had 2 goals on the afternoon, and yeah, look at the blow by speed.
No chance.
How are you going to defend her and Nevaeh on the same team?
You can't.
They didn't.
You can't.
4 combined goals.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations. That's always a fun Sunday to have those two, because we have such good soccer in North Central Iowa. We talk about this on our soccer broadcasts as well. It's just it's gotten better and better in the last 5-10 years, that now you can get things like this to where it's just it's a highlight reel for an all-star match.
And the Richland County girls especially showed out,
Absolutely.
like as they always do in that event, scoring, I think, maybe all the goals.
Yeah.
They were pretty awesome.
Speaking of Richland County, there's a woman now from Richland County that's helping her #1 Florida State Seminoles on to the second round of the NCAA tournament.
Beast.
They won 3-0. Taylor Huff and Florida State, they're going to take on Texas A&M here, I think Friday in the second round, but they're the favorites to win a national championship. Taylor Huff winning a national championship. How about
cool.
that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect segue now, because we go from one Ohio legend to another. That's right. We've got Hall of Famer Joe Balogh in the house with us.
Reporter Joe
That's
Balogh
right.
in the house.
What's up, Joe?
Hello?
He's kind of like the OH.Report version of Puxatawny Phil, like where you know it's going to be basketball season
When he comes
anytime
out.
Joe Balogh pops
Just so he
up.
doesn't run off set, yeah.
So, Joe, what have you been up to? I know that you got a job and stuff, but you're down here for hoop season day after day, and then we kind of lose you for a few months. What's been going on?
Trying to get in a little golf, which not getting very good at, but it's good to get out and golf. And then get to go see a lot of nice golf courses with the job that I have, where I sit on a tractor and punch holes in golf courses. So
That's nice. It probably takes out a little bit of the frustration when you're not playing well, when you're just punching holes in that thing.
no, you just sit there and listen to podcasts and sports all day and get paid for doing it. So
Any recommendations, or what you been listening to lately?
let's see, what have I been listening to? Well, I listen to a lot of the college football, whatever, Sirius XM Channel 84. Listen to a lot of Dan Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
I like Dan Patrick a lot. And then there's a couple podcasts. Coach Holtman from Ohio State he has a podcast. I don't think he does it now, but he has some pretty good episodes. And then there's a guy named John Cook who was a high school coach in Northwest Ohio. He has a podcast where he's talked to a lot of the coaches in Northwest Ohio that has been really enjoyable. So, and then our coaches association, we have our own podcast.
You were on it, weren't you?
Yeah, Adam Hall and a buddy of his have been doing it, and they've done a great job featuring coaches from all around the state, both men's and women's coaches, and I think that's been really good. I think if you're a young coach just getting into the profession, there's a lot of good information from coaches, just how to build a program, maintain a program, different ways to promote your program. That's been really, really good.
And now that you're kind of like a budding media star here in the area, everybody wants more Joe Balogh, of course. So maybe potentially we get a podcast in the works for you, Coach B. You think, or maybe?
I don't know about
Joe
that.
knows. There's Joe knows. That's it. There's the name of your podcast right there. Joe knows.
So we're already halfway home. That's easy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. You've been retired for a couple of years now, though. But since it's basketball season, we're only like a week or two into the practice sessions. Is your circadian rhythm in your body? Does it still feel like you need to get out of bed and start game planning, or have you adjusted to the retired life?
I think I've adjusted, but it's interesting just from the standpoint you still have that feeling when it gets to the first day of practice. I mean, like I was thinking here, like even today, that typically when we started practice, we would have like we would start on a Friday. We would come in on that Friday morning, like for an hour before school, and actually do like 2-a-days, and then we would do that usually for about 7 days. So, for example, I think this last week was the first full week. We might go like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like 6 a.m. to 7:15, and then you come back and practice sometime after school. And now typically our second week would be like Tuesday, Thursday, and then usually the week of Thanksgiving we would practice on a Monday, have like 2-a-days. And basically those morning practices were things like just trying to get extra shooting in, trying to implement like out of bounds plays, but also it was kind of a team building thing just from the standpoint when we started that. I'm not really sure exactly the year we started it, but we assigned like two players that had to bring breakfast. And so typically when it started, guys just brought donuts and juice. But then we had a player's mom that just fixed an unbelievable breakfast.
That's more like it.
Brought it in, and then it kind of became the challenge of who could do the better one. And so actually, getting up at, while being on the floor at 6 in the morning, that's kind of a commitment. But that idea of that breakfast and stuff was kind of a neat thing that we built some team bonding with.
I'm curious, Joe, what kind of guy are you in the kitchen? Can you whip up a pretty solid breakfast yourself, or are you more of like a toast cereal guy?
No, I'm pretty good with breakfast. I think I'm pretty good as far as like cooking on the grill. I don't do anything extravagant like cooking on a grill, but I really do love, once the weather gets nice in the spring, pretty much almost every night I cook something on the grill.
That's admirable.
So it's enjoyable to kind of just sit out and enjoy the weather and have a couple cold ones while you're
Absolutely
while you're grilling. That's been good. But it's kind of funny tonight. I was cleaning up my garage before I came in here, and that was kind of the final thing I did. I cleaned the old grill off and kind of put it away, I think, for the year. So won't be probably till April till we get it going again.
Yeah, bittersweet moment.
Yeah, you put the grill away, got the Christmas decorations out. I know. Are you an early Christmas decoration person, like when the weather's nice, or you wait until after Thanksgiving? Because I know somebody at the OH.Report already has their decorations up in their house. Jory Skoronsky, I'm shouting you out right now.
If I'm not getting blamed, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't put anything up, Joe.
I don't
just
put. I used to. I like one year I put Christmas decorations, like put the lights all around the spouting of the house, and then it's not bad putting them up, but then you got to go out there in January and try to take them down, and especially in the middle of basketball season was a lot of fun. So I haven't been one that's been real spectacular about putting decorations outside. But my wife will start bugging me probably here within the next week to get the tree up and do all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's trees plural in my house already, Joe.
Trees?
All right. Yeah, I feel like I'm living in a human gingerbread house, but it's okay. I got the Christmas spirit. It's running through my veins. You said when you're doing your grilling, of course, maybe a couple adult beverages. What about the switch to already like the Christmas ales being on the shelf? Will you dive into one of those a little bit earlier? Or are you still like trying to keep it pumpkin?
Well, I had a pumpkin ale Friday after golf, but I've already dove into the Christmas ale.
Okay.
That's
I try not to break the seal on that too early too.
Well,
if
it's
I
still
can.
it tastes really good though. Those Christmas ales, that little bit of cinnamon and some
just
of
got to
them
be
and
careful
stuff.
how
It's
fast you drink them.
Absolutely, yes. I know your favorite, the Yeti's back out here from the Phoenix. I mean, yeah, but you can't drink them too fast because it will put you down on your seat for a while.
Well, maybe not those. All right, Joe. So basketball season, it's about to be here, so we're getting pretty excited about that. And I know that, I mean, you're about as plugged in as like an electric vehicle when it comes to this area and just knowing all the coaches and everything. So what's some of the chitter chatter? Who are you hearing that feels like they're going to have a pretty quality season?
Well, I think initially, if you look at at basketball in the area, you're looking at that Division II district as being the teams to watch. I mean, Shelby returns about everybody and probably returns maybe the best player in the area, and Alex Brescotter. Lex is still going to be young. I mean, they're going to play. They're probably going to play. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 sophomores, and they had Seven Allen come from Madison.
That's huge.
Which
Yeah,
added a big piece.
That's that point guard that they've needed since their state Final Four run.
So they, they're going to be contending, and then, senior high is going to be right in that mix too. I mean, they've got a bunch of guys back, did not lose very much. So that's that OCC with senior high and Lex is going to be really good. Then I think in the MOAC, we mentioned Shelby, but I think a team you're really going to watch there is going to be River Valley.
I was going to say that, yeah.
I mean, they've got a group back that's very, very talented, and I think I saw on Facebook the other day after they did one of their practices, I think during the first week, he had somebody different dunking every day, and one of them was a freshman that was dunking. So, River Valley's going to be in that mix. I think the smaller schools, I mean, you take a look, Colonel Crawford's always a team that is going to be in contention, but they got some big shoes to fill.
Big time.
And
I was discussing them actually. Do they have the guys to step into those shoes this year?
I think that you're gonna find out. I mean, the thing that they do so well is they adjust. I mean, they adjust. How they're going to play. But I think in that league, if I'm correct, Carrie's got about everybody back.
Carrie's going to be loaded.
Mohawk's should be very good in that league.
Sure.
And you mentioned about us covering Upper Sandusky. I mean, Upper Sandusky was kind of on that roller coaster, and they're going to probably be a team that's better.
Well, we'll see early on with Crawford. They're going to be at Northmor December 2nd. Northmor returns everybody but Max Lauer, but they have Drew Hammond filling in for him. They're the defending district runners-up in the Central District in Division IV, but they get Colonel Crawford. Northmor will be their second game they play the night before against I forget.
Against somebody who's going to shoot.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Elgin. It's against Elgin, and then they'll play Crawford, so that might be their second games, but that's going to be a good determination on how those teams are early on right there.
Another team in Division II that's going to probably be in that mix is going to be Willard.
Oh, absolutely, with one of the other best players in the area.
Max Dawson is signed at Ashland. And
Seen that's a big get for them.
That is.
Yes, I mean, I really, got a chance to see him play a lot last year. Got to see him practice. Got to see him play in the summer, and I think the thing that impresses me the most about him is not just how good of a player he is, but he makes players around him that much better.
Yeah.
And he seems to have that ability to keep guys involved, but yet when it kind of becomes crunch time, he knows the things he has to do to get it done. So, Joe Bedingfield and Dave Hershey there have done a great job, and I mean, they were close to knocking off Lex, I think, in the sectional finals last year.
He probably has a chip on his shoulder from being one play away from pretty much knocking him off. So you got to think he's motivated this year.
And the other thing, I think we mentioned this before, is that, Sandusky went to D1.
Yeah, who's replacing them in that district?
I am not sure, but I think that there may not be anybody. I'm not sure if Tiffin comes into that. Tiffin Columbia typically is going towards Toledo, but that was kind of the mix-up last year was that actually Tiffin Columbia should have been D2, but because of a mistake of the competitive balance numbers that they did not check, they got stuck.
was huge,
they got
too.
stuck in D1, and I think they were one of the top seeds in D1, and then went and Toledo St. John's kind of throttled them, but. Travis Kinn has done a great job there at Tiffin, and that's kind of disappointing because, a mistake not on his part, but on an administrative part really hurt their chances because I think they could have been a team in Division II that I think they would have probably been in that Toledo district that could have gotten out of Toledo district and maybe gotten into the regional.
Well, you and I saw Logan Beeston and Tiffin against Upper Sandusky early last year, and we thought, man, if they would have been in that D2, that they would have had a chance at a district championship there. So it's tough for them. But, yeah, you can't count out Tiffin and Columbia in the way they play.
Another team you mentioned, small schools, Crestview, they return a lot. And John Kurtz has done a great job there. So, they had a tremendous season last year, but got knocked out, I believe, in the district final? Semifinal. So there's, the goal is always to, as a coach, I think their goal is always to win your league and then get a chance to get in the district and, hopefully the magic continues and you get a chance to win a district and get to a regional. That's always special.
You can't count out the Lucas Cubs. They have a Tom still on the
you're
squad.
Right. That's another one, yeah.
And Taylor Iceman, I trust.
Yes.
They got quite a few kids back from a season ago. They lose a Toms, of course, from last year's team, but I think pretty much everybody's back.
And he's probably got an earlier start than he's had the last couple of years.
This is true.
As far as practice and, hopefully they've come out of football, they're healthy. Because I know last year I think they had a couple of kids that were hurt quite a bit throughout the basketball season.
Lenhart was one of them.
Yeah. So the Cubs will be a team to contend with in this area.
Well, I'm loving the basketball talk, but since you brought up football, Joe, and I know that you can be objective about this because you're a Packers fan, how about them Brownies, baby? What a comeback yesterday. A walk-off field goal against the Ratbirds at their place. Doesn't get much better than that.
I can get behind that.
Deshaun Watson, perfect in the second half. So I want to know, as an outsider to this, are you starting to drink the Brown Kool-Aid yet, or do you still feel like hey, the Browns is the Browns?
Well, I'm not a Browns fan, but what happens on Sundays is I get myself caught that I'm watching the Browns, and then I feel I can't say I feel the pain that you feel.
The angst.
But it seems like they're right there, and then something bad happens.
Inevitably. It used to be that way.
Like a pass off a guy's head.
Yep.
So actually yesterday I didn't even watch the game. I was out trying to finish up yard work and that stuff, but I was listening to it on the radio, and I was like, whatever, they were down 24-9 or something like that.
Yeah, they was down 13 in the third quarter.
And I was like, this is not going to be good. And then all of a sudden I was listening to the NFL where they, flick in and out, and they go
NFL radio.
The Browns intercepted it and scored a touchdown. So I'm like, they're tied, and they come back and they go, it's 31-30. I'm like, no, they just scored a touchdown. It's tied. And then they were like, oh, they missed the extra point. I'm like,
course.
there we go again.
Yep, there it is.
That's the thing. That's what we've all been waiting for.
But the thing I think the thing that impresses you the most about the Browns is defensively how good they are. I mean, and defense. I think in the NFL, defense carries you.
Oh,
and now,
I know that.
And now this, it's just the Steelers. And now the scary thing is yesterday with how Deshaun Watson played, they've been good. But it's also pretty amazing with the Browns, if you take a look at them, is how they've been able to run the ball without Nick Chubb.
Yeah, that's been kind of overlooked.
Kareem Hunt's been huge.
That's been a
for them.
big ad for them, yeah.
I would think probably if he continues to play like this, they would maybe sign him again next year rather than letting him go.
Yeah, I think you're right. He was hanging out at home eating potato chips, and they're like, Kareem, you want a shot? He comes out, he's been balling out. So that's been really cool.
And he's fit in well. He hasn't, sometimes you guys come in, they're kind of like the prima donna, but he came in and bought in, was wearing Chubb's number, and doing all the right things. So I think has been a great addition to the Browns.
Yeah, Nick Chubb going down has been a big motivating factor. It's kind of like, get it for Chubb, of course. We thought it was going to be the Jim Brown season, of course, that everyone's going to be trying to do it for him. But I think old 2-4 definitely has won over the locker room. And I seen Deshaun, he left the press conference in a boot yesterday. Unfortunately, that's not good. His ankle's all jacked up. But it's Steelers week now. So it's a big game, Joe. And the AFC North, man, it's a logjam.
It's crazy, though, but it's going to be the battle of rushing attempts. Steelers ran for over 200 yards against Joe Balogh's Packers, which is I did not see that coming, but Jalen Warren, exciting running back, number 2 running back for the city. He actually should be number 1 over Najee Harris the way he's running, but
Probably.
2 running backs there. And then you got TJ Watt. Yeah, in the defense. It's gonna be a battle, and I was telling Andy, I said, hey, you guys pull off that upset with the Ravens, then this is probably gonna be for first place. And you got to remember, we're gonna know what it's for because Thursday night football is Cincinnati and the Ravens. If Cincinnati pulls off that, I don't even think it'd be an upset.
There's
but
no
that
upsets
win,
in the AFC North anymore.
None.
I really don't feel that way.
All 4 teams are in the last 4 or 3 wild card spots and in the division spot. It's
So
we expected before the season. It's finally working.
So I do need to ask you, were you on the Fire Canada bandwagon though?
I think he's the president CEO.
Yeah, last year I dressed up as him for our Halloween episode of the podcast last year in season 2.
That's
right.
right.
Look back at that. Pass, run, screw up. I think that was one of my play sheet. But since he's gone on the field the last 2 weeks, he's been calling plays from the field. He's been talking with the offensive line, with Kenny Pickett, with his receivers. They've started to do something. So I'll field Matt Canada a lot better than press box Matt Canada. So I'm going to give field Matt Canada a bit of a chance, especially if they can go up to Cleveland and knock off the Browns for first place in the AFC North all by themselves. So
you got to appreciate the work that Mike Tomlin does every year.
Oh, absolutely.
Phenomenal. I mean, he's phenomenal as far as bringing a group together.
I saw people on Twitter or X or whatever saying they should just rename the Coach of the Year to the Mike Tomlin Coach of the Year award.
How many you got?
He's got a few.
He got a few.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Monday Night Football has already kicked off, Travis. Give us a da-da-da. What's going on there?
The Bills got the ball, but they turned it over in 2 plays, and it turned into a Denver Broncos field goal. However, right now the Bills, with 9:28 left in the first, have a 2nd and 13 from the Denver 37-yard line, which leads me to my Plays bet for tonight. It's a 6-pack because everything I had was only for not a lot. Bills over 20.5 points. You've got to think they got to score 3 touchdowns tonight, right, Brian?
Oh, well, 6 minutes in, sitting on a goose egg, so you got some work to do. Okay, but the Broncos under 24.5, I like.
Yeah, they only got 3 points right now, and that was because of a turnover. Josh Allen over 250 passing yards. He's already up to 35 right now, which isn't bad right now. Russell Wilson under 214.5. He's only gone over 220 yards 3 times. The Bills have only allowed an average of 219 pass yards per
Okay,
game,
you did
and
your
hopefully
research.
the Broncos are the Broncos that you know, and he won't do that. Stephon Diggs, 60 yards receiving. That's got to be a given, right? You got to think he's got to do something like that. And then Williams, 40 rushing yards for the Broncos. That is plus 445 without a boost. $10 pays $54.50 with the 30% boost that DraftKings has given us. I guess people won so much the last few weeks that they dropped it from 50% down to 30%, but still, I'll take it. The 30% boost gives $10, $67.85 as a payout. Mr. Balogh, do you ever get into the gambling game there with any of the parlays or whatnot?
No, I'm not into that. I mean,
Smart. Wise man.
Yeah. You probably have a lot more money because of it.
I don't know if I have a lot more money.
And
I'm
Josh
just maybe
Allen
not
just got
smart enough to
intercepted.
do it.
So, yeah, interception by Josh Allen. The Broncos got the ball back. So that's not looking good right now. Cool. At least you guys didn't see this until just now, so you don't have to play Shin's bets.
Yeah, we rolled that one out
hurt.
late. That was the first one on the season that I didn't tail.
It's hurt. 3 of the
Didn't
well,
love
this
it.
is the 5th one we've done, but 3 of those have come down to the hook. I needed the Bills week 1 Monday Night Football. I need the Bills to score 16.5 points. They scored 16. I had
Don't
everything
remind the
hit.
fans how
Yeah.
much money you've
Geno
lost them
Smith
and how.
needed over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He had a guy wide open for the 2nd passing touchdown, got sacked. And then last week, we had it. The Jets needed over, 16.5 points, and Ty Conklin had a ball hit off his chest in the end zone, and then he caught the next pass at the 1-yard line. Time ran out. That's just been our luck, Joe. It's
That's how
just
the
not,
cookie crumbles, Balogh, so that's why you don't bet.
we've had a good weekend though thus far.
Indeed.
I will even with this terrible bet would be even for the week. So I'll take it.
All right, we got some business to get to outside.
Get prepping for the
of
Joe
camera.
show,
That's right. Season 2 is going to be here. Well, at least we're trying to talk Balogh into it, and we got to be back and zanier than ever. The feedback that I received from area coaches, off the charts, Joe. People love you.
The introductory speeches and everything from him.
The monologues.
The monologues are the best.
So we got our work cut out for him, I think, to try to top those this season.
And I can't wait to get back on the call with him as well. Even the blowouts are fun.
Winter is coming.
With his insight, so.
Indeed.
But we got football still. Danville, Dalton, Friday night.
We'll be there.
We'll
have something live for you guys, of course. Other than that, I don't know what we're going to be putting out on the OH Report this week, but we'll find something. We'll keep y'all entertained.
Well, I'm going to Danville practice tomorrow. I'm going to have a cool hype video.
Okay.
So we'll have that this week.
Something.
But we've been busting our tails the last couple of days. It's
been
nice to have
around.
A couple days
been
off.
getting there.
Before basketball. Right back at it.
Yeah. Thinking about it, I'm tired now, all the stuff we've been up to. So, Joe, you want to close out the show?
What do you want me to close it out with?
Show them how a pro does it.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching the OH Report.
Oh, that's right.
We'll see you in a few weeks.
He needs the script. That's right. Where's the prompter?
Where's the prompter?